to inspire, innovate, ignite conversations that count. Super excited about tonight's conversation, where we are going to be talking about becoming the creatrix of your reality. And we have some excellent panelists that are going to share their tips with you. So, do you believe that we are all creators of everything that happens in our lives? Like we are responsible for creating it? All of our experiences, all of our possessions, all of our opportunities, everything in our life has been created by us. And we have this opportunity to realize the power of our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and how we create this reality that we live in. And so in this discussion, our panelists are going to share some tips to help you embrace your inner creatrix power so that you can shift your current reality towards a reality that you ultimately desire. And we have lots of these conversations that count, lots of panel discussions, and you can find them on the website. And Sophia will be talking about that a little bit later. But now what I'd like to do is just welcome everybody and introduce our beautiful panelists tonight. So I'm just going to start with Haley Mill. Haley is a manifestation coach who knows anything is possible. Never one to live an ordinary life, Haley has traveled, worked, and manifested her way around the world living her dream. Her signature course, Manifest Me, shows anyone how to create a life they love. So welcome, Haley. And then we have Jacqueline Upshaw. Jacqueline is the founder and host of the Informative Conversations podcast, shows which informs, inspires, and encourages all listeners. Her show is on the Inspiration Network Up to Me Radio, and she's also an advocate for health and promotes holistic cell signaling health products. Welcome, Jacqueline. Thank you for being here. And Jennifer Regular is a regular here. Jennifer is a soul-centered empowerment coach who guides purpose-driven entrepreneurs to focus on the difference that they want to make in the world in alignment with their soul calling while effectively managing their time and energy to prevent overwhelm. She's the author of Embrace Your Power, A Healing Journey of Self-Discovery, a host of the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast, and Wise Woman Wednesday on YouTube. So welcome, Jennifer. And Josette Diaz transforms women's lives through self-mastery as their guide and champion. She believes that knowing what your hot button issues are is a power move to rise above self-sabotage. And she offers her system of mastery in her group program, Seasons of the Soul, and in her one-on-one coaching courses and workshops to guide you home to your inner voice, activate your wisdom, and experience more joy and rhythm. And Josette is also a leader of one of our tribes. And the tribe, Josette, I'm going to let you talk about your tribe a little bit later. Anybody I missed that has a tribe, we can talk about that later too. So, and then I'm Lisa Mizels DePamphilis, and I help ambitious spiritual coaches and transformational leaders understand exactly who their ideal clients are, what tagline to use to attract them, how to engage with them, and how to articulate their value and the value of the solutions that they offer so that their audience knows that they're the one to work with. And I've taken hundreds of women through this signature process. It's an intuitive process so that they can achieve next level success in their business. So welcome, everyone. So glad you're here. Those watching, listening. This is just going to be super exciting. And I want to kind of just dive in. So I'd like to go around the room and just hear from each of you how you got started embracing your inner creatrix, how you discovered that you were a creatrix of your reality, and how you've navigated that and embraced it. So Jennifer, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, it was quite the question about where it all really started.
All right.
How it became the creatrix. I think it's really just the realization and the acceptance that we are 100% responsible for our lives and everything that happens to us. I know that when I was 10 years old, I was keenly observing the world around me and the people in it and making notes on how I was perceiving the world, not the world, but society determining our destiny. And I didn't ever really buy into that. It didn't make sense to me. So I started making notes about it. And 3 decades later, as you mentioned about the book, the message was really about embracing your power, a healing journal of self-discovery. And it's a journaling style book that really taps into healing our relationship with ourselves and discovering who we truly are. And I think that's been my journey throughout my lifetime and previous ones too. And just being in that continuation in the stream of life, right? Just continuing to flow and grow and know what to let go so that we can really step into embodying leadership and becoming that for leading into creating our own reality, and determining for ourselves what's going to best support us and also wake up to the gifts that we're here to bring.
Yeah, I think that is so key that we have to understand ourselves. And that's part of the journey, is understanding who we are and our unique brilliance. My book is called Claim Your Brilliance. And that's been my journey too, is the uniqueness that we're here to bring as part of our creatrix power. And so embracing that helps us really step into that authentic power that we're here to bring to the world, the light that we're here to bring to the world. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you, Jennifer. Jacqueline.
Hi. So my journey began after being ill, bedridden for 10 years off and on. I know that we've all been created, and we are creative beings, and we have the power to do what we are called to do. We all have a specific purpose. We all have a specific calling. And it is, for me, changing my perspective on, I used to think that things were happening to me, good, bad, or ugly. But when I changed my perspective, I realized no matter what condition it came in, no matter how it was packaged, it was happening for me. It was making me be a better me, drawing me into the purpose of what I am to do. And so that is how my journey began.
Yeah, it's so true. There's such a shift in consciousness when you go from that perspective of, oh my gosh, why is all this happening? What's my life is so chaotic, right? And then you can have that perception change and say, wait a minute, this is a gift for me to grow into, to face, to move beyond, and to really embrace the power that I have. It calls you forward, right? It calls you forward to where, I love that. Thank you so much for that. Josette.
So I would say that ever since I was like a young teenager, I always would think about the way I thought about things and the words that I used to describe things. And so for me, it's the thoughts that brought me along that journey of becoming a creator of my own reality, or understanding that aspect of life, and using the various words that we use have an impact on how we create, because words have energy, and they sometimes promote and expand, and sometimes they restrict and contract. And so getting more and more knowledge in that direction as I got older, because I didn't know everything when I was 18, even though I thought I did. It expands your ability to really purposefully start creating your reality. And using your words and your languaging really has a major impact, even the way that you think about things. I love that Jacqueline mentioned perspective, because I think perspective has so much to do with it. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important that that we become aware of the thoughts that we're thinking and the words that come out of our mouth, because we're so programmed for so long, so many of us, to be thinking a certain way and to be going, having the same story run when it's not true. And when we get to have that choice of, wait a minute, what did I just say? That's not true. I don't want that for my life, right?
That's right.
Like, I mean, there's so many phrases that are so not what we want to say out loud.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it's so true. And also the act of like saying, oh, I don't want that. If that's always on your mind and what you're repeating, you're actually calling it forward rather than shifting it, so that it doesn't come towards you. So
that's a great point. I remember when I really wanted to make some major changes in my life, I would catch myself, and instead of like spiraling into that, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I don't want this. Da, 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 da. I would think, wait a minute, I want this. And it puts you in such a different energy when you think about the possibilities of what you do want, and that just shifts your frequency. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you. Thank you, Josette. And Haley, chime in, please.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. So I guess my story was, as I was growing up, I always knew that I could do or be whatever I want. I sort of knew that from a young age. But it was only, I guess, when I was in my early 30s that I was working a job that I loved. And I knew that if I didn't do something different, I would be there forever. And I had this, I guess my intuition was calling me and saying, Haley, you want to go overseas, you want to work overseas, you have to do it now, you have to do it now. And I was just pushing it away. And it was only when it was just yelling at me that I was like, okay, I think I have to do something about this now. So I quit my job and I went overseas. And since that moment, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in flow with everything when I listen to my intuition and when I follow, I call them bubbles of happiness or bubbles of joy. When I'm doing things that make me happy, everything flows from there. And I can create my life by following what makes me happy. So for me, that's a really big part of my life, of doing things that make me happy. And I understand that that's not something that we can do all day, every day, but I try and find the things that make me the most happy and connect my why with that. Why am I doing this? This makes me happy. Great. Let's go and give this a go. And so that's sort of, for me, how I know I'm on the right path, because I feel happy and I'm in the flow. Yeah.
I love that. I probably, people that have watched this have heard me say this before, but I always say joy is your true north. Like if you're in joy, if you're following that joy, you're on the right track to whatever is the universe is opening up to you, whatever opportunities. That's the flow. Even if it doesn't make sense, if you're in that energy of joy, like there's nothing wrong with that. That's where we're supposed to hang out, is in that joy. And we've shut that down so much. We go into that, like you said, the resistance or the pushing away. And so I'd love to talk a little bit about that, and how maybe you can start, Haley, by giving a tip on how people that are listening can become aware of what that feels like when they're pushing it away, or when they're resisting, because that stops the flow of what you want to actually happen. So I'd love to everybody to give some wisdom nuggets or a tip or a technique or something that will help the listeners at this point. So Haley, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you mentioned before, when we reframe what it is that we want, we're sitting in the energy of what we actually want rather than repelling it by saying, I don't want this, I don't want this. You're still calling in that energy because you're using those words and you're sitting in that energy. So I think it's important to reframe what it is that we want. And I think Jacqueline said it before as well. So to be able to call it in. And I think one of the things that I like to teach people is the intuition thing, because we get so caught up in society says we should do this and we should get a job and then we should do blah, blah, blah. And if it doesn't feel right, that's a sign. For me, that's the biggest sign. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't make you happy, that's when we start to go, wait a minute, there's a warning sign here. So I think it's about learning to develop your intuition, and not everybody knows how to do that. But I think that's such a key tool when you can listen to your own body. It might be butterflies in your stomach, it might be a bad feeling, it might be a voice in your head, whatever that is. learn it and use it as a tool to go forward and go, as soon as that intuition comes up, I know how it manifests in my body. And that's my sign, because I know it and I trust it.
Yeah, your body talks to you,
Yeah.
and we're not accustomed to listening, most people, right? And so that's a really great place to start. I love that. I remember when I was just wanting to quit my job, and I was in like the last 6 months. I didn't know it, but the last 6 months of it, and I had a notebook, and I would take my notebook out every day, and I would just write these what if, and I would let myself dream and just like go beyond the ordinary of what my mind was normally processing. And like, what if this was possible? Because we stop ourselves, right? We stop ourselves because because that's all we know.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can expand on that and just like go into that happiness, that flow, that state of energetic being where it feels good, that's where you want to live from. So I love that. Thank you for that. Yeah. Josette.
So let's see. This is a very good question, because I think that so often we are operating in this automatic response mode, and we aren't even always aware of that resistance when it pushes up against us. You know, we go, "Oh, I don't know," or sometimes it causes us to have a response of shutting down, and then we aren't able to access how we feel or what we think. And so learning to understand what your responses are is one key way to start to identify when you're in resistance. And you'll feel resistance. I had a wonderful experience of this today for myself. And when I felt this resistance, it was like a push and pull within me. I felt two different ways, and it was really uncomfortable. And so that moment of being uncomfortable is a hint. Get curious about it. Look underneath the hood, see what that is for you. And Haley's so right on about how your body's feeling, feels it first, right? And you'll recognize it there, whether it's butterflies in your stomach, which has been mentioned already, things like that. And once you can recognize the resistance, then you get the opportunity to really put yourself into the present moment. So I find that helps me the most, because I ask myself the question, in this present moment, how do I feel? Obviously the resistance, yet is there anything wrong? No. And so it helps you to put it into perspective that truly nothing is wrong, and I get to choose and discern the choice that I make. And so that's the biggest thing that I find helps my clients. It helps me personally. And so the more that you understand those responses, the easier it is.
I love that you said that. And I love that you mentioned being uncomfortable, because normally what happens is when we have any bit of discomfort, we want to fix it. We want to push it away. We want it to go away as fast as possible. And it's really in sitting with the discomfort where the magic happens. But we've not been taught to do that. And
No.
yeah, and so it's really about getting curious, and in the present moment you have a choice. I love that you mentioned that. Thank you, Josette.
Yeah.
Jacqueline.
Okay, you asking how it feels when you're pushing joy away. And I tell you, Haley and Josette, they hit it spot on. Haley mentioned about discernment, and Josette is awareness. Awareness is big, because oftentimes we're not aware that that's what we're doing. And being still, when I feel it within me, I know to be still. Josette, you said, ask yourself the question, is anything wrong? If nothing's wrong, you get to choose. But even if something is wrong, you can still choose joy, because you have peace to know that no matter what it is, it's working for you, not against you. So you can have joy just in the fact that you have peace. You can have joy in the fact that you have awareness. So we don't want to push joy away in any circumstance, because whether we have, because we're blessed to have peace, we're blessed to have awareness, we are blessed just to know.
Yeah, so precious. Choosing joy. And like you said, regardless of what's happening, regardless of the circumstances, we always have that choice. That's ours to have. We are responsible. And that is what creates our reality. That choice to consistently choose joy, to consistently choose it's not always the easy. It's not always the pleasant. It's not always the comfortable. A lot of times it's moving through that discomfort to get to the other side. But if you can stay in that knowing that that this is happening for me, that this is a gift, that there's better coming.
Yes.
It may look messy right now, but there's better things on the horizon. We know that this life is a gift. And if we follow that path that we're all talking about, we get to create this beautiful reality that is more expansive, more open, more opportunities, more possibilities, all of that stuff. So I love it.
And sometimes it looks like, Lisa, I like what you say when you're going through it, because sometimes going through it is tears. Sometimes going through it is not always pleasant, but you can shed tears of joy, just knowing that you're going to make it through. So thank you for that. Yeah.
And tears are like allowing the emotions to come up and just pass through your body. Is if you can become the observer and not be stuck in it, that this is happening to me, and just be the observer that, oh, wow, this is happening. This is releasing. This is processing, or whatever is happening. You're in the present moment, and you're allowing this flow. So I love how all of this is coming together. Thank you.
That's
Jennifer,
good.
let's hear from you.
Yes, hello. There are times that it can feel like there is no joy, that you're looking around and you're feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out and burdened and all the things, right? Just buried in it and not seeing it, not experiencing, there's no reference point of it. And yet everyone's brought up the point that we do have joy somewhere in our life. We did experience joy. And although we might not be seeing it right now, and we don't have any reference point for it, we actually do, if we can take a moment, close our eyes, and step back into remembering a time that we felt joy, that we felt excited, that we felt that bubbling up, that aliveness, remembering that, and quite likely you'll end up crying, which is fantastic, because then you get to release anything that's in the way and burying that joy so that it can rise up again. And then building the capacity to be able to hold the challenges and the pains of life, and also the joys and the happiness and the celebrations of life. It's just like in the sky, the sun is always there, but we're not always seeing it. So we kind of forget, because things get clouded over, can get very dark, and then we're not seeing it, right? And yet we know that it's there, and it's going to rise again. It's going to come up. It's going to be shining brightly, and we'll start feeling that again. So anything that we're going through, we know we're just passing through, as we've been talking to, that we're moving through this. For me, I remember I was feeling really uninspired and not in a place of joy at all. But then I started taking little walks, kind of making the effort to get myself out there and noticing different cute things, that made me pause and be happy and smile. And I called them daily delights. So then I started journaling them each day. What were my daily delights? What delighted me that day? What brought joy? Until, I got back to a place of feeling the joy again, again, building that capacity and making it a practice and kind of reinforcing that feeling in my life. And so that's a practice too, is noticing when you're feeling joy and making note of that and feeling gratitude for that. And even if it's just for a brief second, you start building that capacity again to re-experience joy and have new joy as well. Yeah.
I love that as a practice, and I love that you called it daily delights. It's precious.
I want to jump in just 1 second. I do something similar to that, Jennifer. I do something called Win of the Day. So every night at dinner time, we all sit down and we go around the table and say what the best thing was that happened to us today.
Yes, beautiful.
And I love it. And my daughter does it now. She's 5 and we've been doing it the whole time. So now she asks people when they come for dinner, and it's a really nice reminder. So I love that daily delights. Sorry.
Yes, fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah. The win of the day. I used to do that too. It's like, it just puts a different twist on your day, daily delights, win of the day, whatever gratitude practice, whatever it is that is a practice for you, have a practice because there are hard times. I mean, we're human. We're here to experience all of it. And sometimes it doesn't look pretty. But there, like Jennifer was just saying, there is a way. There's the sun rises and sets, and there is another day, and it gets better, and it's all happening for us as we process through it and move further into flow. So what I'd like to do is just find out, ask each one of you about being the most powerful thing of being a creatrix, of knowing that you're the creatrix, and how can people who are listening really start to develop their creatrix abilities? How can they start to develop that confidence in creating? And we've given lots of tips, but maybe reframing it this way can help some people understand it in a different way. Who would like to start? All right, Haley, go ahead.
Okay. I think there's lots of ways that we can do it, but I think we mentioned before the words that we say to ourselves are so powerful. And, there's that great quote by Gandhi, which is, our beliefs become our thoughts become our words become our actions become habits, values, destiny, so it all starts with that. So I like to tell people that it's important to be careful of the words that are coming out of your mouth, but also the feelings that are connected behind it, because as energetic beings, that's the most important thing, So it's all good to say certain words, but like affirmations, but if you don't believe those affirmations, if you don't even believe it, you only have to believe it 1 or 2%, and then it can grow from there. But if you don't even believe it that little bit, it's hard to make that happen. So I think it's important to be aware of those words and those feelings. And then your life will start to align itself with that, because it becomes so embedded in who you are that everything sort of aligns itself to make sure that happens for you. So I guess a very easy way to start for me would be words and feelings. Just be careful of what you're putting out there. And, we mentioned that before, but that's just a really big part of it.
Yeah, I think, if listeners are could write out a statement of what they desire, maybe what they want their life to look like in the next whatever, but it's not the specific things. We're not choosing the outcomes of what we want. We're choosing the feelings of how do you want to feel. And if you can get into that, how do you want to feel? Like you were saying, the feeling, that's how you create, is through those feelings, those emotions, those vibes that we have. And so thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's great. Josette.
Well, I was going to say that this is like such a big question that there's so many aspects to it that Haley mentioned and laid out. Like all of that is so true. You know, our words, our actions, everything that rolls after the other. One of the ways that I find that simplest to at least get started and to find that clarity and to find the sparks that you have in your life that exists right now about what you're seeking. So it's so easy to say joy because most of us want joy. And it's just a very simple practice of gratitude and intention where you choose a word and you choose maybe one or two, possibly three words that you use to bring into your heart. You take the word, you drop it into your heart, put your focus there, and then you focus on where you see that particular word. That word becomes the intention. So if it's joy, I scan and observe in my life on a daily basis, maybe the earlier that day or the day before, and I see where there's sparks of joy. And when I can focus on that spark and really allow it to amplify in my heart, then I start to connect the emotion in my heart center. And when that emotion starts to connect, then it rises and expands. And it's just like when you see a scene, if you have children, you look at your children, you overwhelm at times in your heart with the love that you have. It's that same feeling, whether it's children or another loved one, a puppy, whatever it is. Allow that feeling to just expand and overwhelm and overspill in your heart. And when you have that connection and you focus on that as a daily practice, you will begin to start to see joy in your life in bigger and bigger examples. And so that's one way to create the different aspects that you're seeking in your life. And yes, everything else also needs to be paid attention to. Yet that's a really easy way to start at least creating the feelings and the other pieces that you're looking for.
I love that practice. Sparks of intention and gratitude, and pulling it, taking it into your heart to expand it. That's a great way for listeners to start to just to identify and become more aware of what they want and what it feels like, feeling it in your body, and our reticular activating system, right? So we focus on something and then it comes more into our life, and the energy of what we're holding in our heart expands and expands and expands too. So, and it does, it works. I mean, it just, yeah, it works. So thank you for that. Jacqueline.
Okay. For me, first of all, ladies, thank you. I agree with both of you and what you've spoken. For me, we've already talked about awareness. And so when you visualize what it is you want, you gotta be a dreamer. You gotta visualize and think what you want in more positivity, and then write it down. And for me, I started connecting with groups and with people that felt the same way I did, had the same spirit I did, reading books that had the same goals as myself, or even watching certain movies and not watching other television programs that had the same goals. So I would say, write it down and connect with like-minded people, whether that be books or groups or however you do it. And then you're coming to a space where I promise you, everything that we need and everything we desire, and everything that is part of our purpose has already been provided for us. And so when we can get to that space, because that's the road, the journey we're on, we're getting to that place to be at peace, no matter what. We can just be still and be at peace because we are creators. We have been created and we are creators, and that is our purpose in the earth. So when we're doing and living by our purpose, even the desire you visualize and write down, you don't even know it yet, but it's part of your purpose. And then the biggest thing is, do not fear. Just do it afraid. Just do it. So that's what I have.
Thank you. Yeah, so good. So much goodness in this conversation. And I love that our purpose is being a creator. That's what we're here for. We are part of the fractal of creation, right? We're parts of one. And the more that you can be in the energy of who you're here to be, which is a creator, which is love. We're all here to be love.
Yes.
It just multiplies. And for me, I've been on this journey for the last year and a half of really diving into my healing and being the light, being love, seeing love, hearing love, speaking love. Like all of it is about being that vibration. And it looks like different things. And the more that I think about it, the more fun things come out, the more creativity, the more joy, the more fun and play. And all these things are support you in having a richer life, feeling that richness of being alive. So I love all that you mentioned. Thank you, Jacqueline. Jennifer.
Yes, this is excellent. Like, so good. I love all the nuggets and all the sharing that's going on and the inspiration. And that's just it. Sometimes we get really caught up in thinking and then thinking that we have to think differently and think more and shift our thinking and our beliefs and all of that. And yes, of course, that's important, and reframing and all of that. And also, we can move over to the other side of our brain, our intuitive side, and just relax a little more and allow it to be effortless. So not necessarily zero effort, but just less effort, and see what pops up. Now we're creating, if we approach life instead of fear and perhaps with curiosity, trying that one on, see what that's like. And then it creates this openness. And when we have this openness, then we can channel in or tune in to our inner guidance, our intuition, our inspiration. And like Jacqueline was mentioning, and others too, that we have everything already within us. So now we get to tune into that, see what arises. And it's almost like this modeling clay of what yet has to be born through us, what needs to still be birthed through us. And we can approach that with curiosity. It's like, oh, what's this? Like, what can I make? What can I create out of this? And then you get to do that. You get to move the clay and mold it and try different ways and smush it and expand it and experiment with it. And that can be your reality, right? Is what you're creating through that inspiration, through your guidance, and just following the direction of that, following the direction of your soul, and seeing where it leads. So we can allow that possibility too, of not having to put more effort into thinking and intending. And I heard someone say once that really made me think, because I use intention work a lot, and heard the word intention as inner tension. And I had to sit with that for a while, because it was a real mind shift about intention being inner tension. And I can actually see that to be true, because now we're almost afraid to think or feel certain things, because now we're manifesting it, that we're not sure. Maybe we're not sure, what it is that we actually want and desire, because we become so disconnected and out of touch with that it can create some inner tension of saying the right thing on paper or in our thoughts, that to make sure that we're creating exactly what we want. It can create some of that inner tension. So maybe to approach it with some curiosity. I love to explore, I love to see and observe and experience and allow that to be the case. So yeah, having a different approach. And just like we put on different clothes every day, maybe most of the time at least, that we're showing up differently, right? And so we can show up differently in our thoughts and our beliefs and ways of being, bringing in curiosity and courage and compassion or fear and love and whatever it is that you want to bring into that day is going to come through you. So you are always, whether conscious of it or not, creating a reality.
Yeah, I love that. Be curious, and it's like play more, right? Play with life. I think people are, and I know I've been the same way, afraid to make a decision, afraid of what they're creating, afraid to move forward or sideways or whatever. But we can't do it wrong. We're on a path. We can't really do it wrong. I mean, there are different choices and different ways, and sometimes things take longer than others. But we're ultimately, especially if we're listening and tuning in and growing and expanding, we are going to evolve where we are going to be guided further and further to this path that is an easier, more blissful path. But what would you say to people that are having difficulty with creating, and maybe even making a decision, like feeling stuck and afraid of the shoulds and shouldn'ts, and afraid of making the wrong decision? I think let's explore that for a minute, and that might help the listeners. And if anybody who's listening has any questions, please pop them in to wherever you are, and we'll get them into the chat here so that we can address them. So we'll just go back to Haley. Would you like to? We'll just go back and line. Make it easy.
Yeah. No, of course. So I guess one thing that I like to do when people sort of are saying to me, look, it's not going to happen for me, or I can't do it, or I'm stuck, or I'm hitting a brick wall, I like to look at the limiting beliefs that people have. So often there is something inside us. There's a story that we've been told, or that we've told ourselves from a young age, that we just can't get past. It might be when you were younger, your parents said, oh, you can't sing, and so you then believe that you can't do it, or you'll never be good enough to be, a CEO, or you'll never have enough money to do that, or whatever the story is that you've told yourself or someone else has told you, and you can't get past that. So I think it's really important to dive into those limiting beliefs so that we can actually start to make some progress. And it doesn't have to be that you necessarily overcome that limiting belief straight away. A great step is just to be aware of it, because as soon as you're aware of it, you've already started on the process. So don't go into it going, I have to fix this and I have to jump over it today. That's not the case. As soon as you become aware of something, then you can go, I didn't know that. Where has that come from? And why is that coming up? And then you can start to work through it. Okay. You might have to do some deep diving work into, how am I going to move past this? And do I have to address it with someone else? Do I have to address it with myself? What do I need to do? But that will come out in the process of being aware of it. And I think for me, what I do with people is the easiest way I get people to understand what their limiting beliefs are is two things. Listen to their words. What are the words that are coming out of your mouth? And the second one is to do a cleanup of your house, of your office, of whatever it is. And when you come across something that you can't throw away, ask yourself, why can't I throw this away? I don't like this pen, but why can't I throw it away? Oh, because such and such gave it to me and it was a really nice thing to do. Okay, great, but you don't love it. So what are you doing? You're holding on to that to please someone else, but it doesn't make you happy. So you need to dive into that belief of making someone else happy. And why are you making other people happy? If that makes sense.
Totally. I love it. Yeah. Because we all, I'm sure most of us have stuff around that it's just stuff. It's just stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not important. So yeah, attaching that to a limiting belief. And I think, I love what you say. I mean, we've talked about awareness, but it's so important, because becoming aware of a story that you have, or a belief that you have, and then hearing yourself repeat that story once you become aware, you can see how often that pattern shows up in your life and how it's really affecting so many areas of your life, and do the work after that. But yeah, that's a great place to start. Thank you for that. Yeah, I love it. Josette.
So we're talking about when people get stuck, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I like to use as a tool if someone's really stuck and they can't really see their way out, it's best for them to figure that out on their own, in a sense. And I'm a big fan for doing meditations in a different way. So I love to use the tool of Neuro Graphics, which is a process of drawing shapes and making sure that all the lines connect, that there's no breaks. And then you color that in, and everything needs to be rounded. And so you take the thing that you're stuck on and you start this process. And as you do this process, you start to recognize where you're running into the sharp edges. And I've been able to use this as a tool to unstick a mindset, unstick a limiting belief, unstick a solution that I'm looking for. And so I find this to be a really useful tool to help people to find their way by connecting their mind and their body and using art as a way to achieve that.
I didn't know you knew about Neurographica. That's so cool. Yeah, I used that a lot over the last several years. It was really a lifesaver. So I love that. And I love art, as you can probably see. I think like Jennifer, you were saying, it's using the different side of the brain, and it's really not figuring things out, but it's letting things flow and allowing what needs to come out. And yeah, that's great. Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Jacqueline.
Okay, so I'm going to speak on the side of what would you say to people that are afraid to fail when they're stuck? I failed so many times. I tried so many different things to a point where it became I was failing forward, or some people say falling forward. At the time, I didn't realize it. I remember putting something out there, and it just brought me humiliation, and it was at that time kind of devastating. It was very embarrassing. But I mean, I've tried several things, but I think about when it said that humility comes before honor, and that doesn't mean that you need to fail, because here again, it doesn't mean that you need to fail just to move forward, but everything is working for us. So from a young girl, I needed humility. I needed to know that what I was doing wasn't about serving me, but about serving others. And that was a hard lesson to learn, one of those lessons you go through, but it was one of those lessons that I needed to learn. It's one of those lessons after the shift in my perspective that I am so grateful that I learned. And I could never be the person that I am today and give as a heart-centered CEO today if I was still that person. So I want to say, I know I continuously say that everything we need is already there, no matter what it looks like. And sometimes what you need is just you. But let me tell you, when I emerged from that, I already had all the skills that I needed. So I was picking up skills. Every time I tried something and it wasn't successful, I was picking up skills so that when I walked into my purpose and my calling, all those skills were already there. Nothing was wasted.
Yeah, it's truly a magnificent consistent journey, especially when we look backwards at how things are. You know, it's harder looking forward because we're walking into the unknown. But if you have faith and trust that things are happening for you and that you're going to be sourced and supplied and that things are working out, you know, things, whatever is coming in your path is for you to learn. I mean, if you look at life in the moment, we're neither success or failure. We just are. It's what we make. It's what we make it. It's the story around it that we tell that makes it a success or a failure. But we're always moving forward. I mean, we're always moving forward towards expansion. Ultimately.
I'm sorry. If we could say,
no, go ahead.
If we could say we are becoming that creative being that we were always intended to be, and we'll always be perfecting that person, always, because as we perfect us, we help others and give out that energy of love and of peace and of determination and inspiration to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, people may not be entrepreneurs, or they may be on a break, or whatever is our listeners. I think it's, you know, it's important to want to make an impact. It's important to want to live your purpose. It's important to have a calling, but sometimes that looks like showing up and being the best you in the moment. Sometimes it looks like just, you know, getting through your day and being happy at the end, or just getting through your day. Sometimes it looks like being a great mom or wife or sister, brother, you know, whatever it is. It doesn't have to look so grandiose for everyone. It's like we make a difference. We get to create our life and make a difference just because of who we are. So
and
I
just want to share a couple examples. When you said that, I went through a season of being a stay-at-home mom. I remember leaving my big paying high corporate job and just crying, why I have to be a stay-at-home mom? Terrible. It was the worst. I mean, my whole world, I couldn't buy this or have this or go there. And I was just home. And then my mother got ill. So I was home taking care of her. And it was just, but now I look at my children and I say, God, thank you for the opportunity. I know so many people that wish, you know, that they could, but I understand it. It's a choice. You know, it was a choice. Just going through divorce didn't look good. So no matter what you're doing, it's all working for you. It's all working. Just like Lisa, just every day. It's not about being grandiose, or because, you know, we don't have big eyes and little U's. We don't have that. We have love. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Jennifer.
So I just want to look at being stuck for a minute and just look at that, because let's say you're stuck in traffic, for example, then there's nowhere to move, right? Or you're stuck in mud or in snow and you're driving your car, there's nowhere to move, right? Spinning your wheels, literally, you're just digging yourself a bigger hole, right? And that's what can be happening in our mind at the time too, is we're spinning our wheels, we're spinning and looping around the same content over and over and over again, just digging ourselves into a bigger hole. Being stuck in traffic, there's something we can do to move, right? Someone will be honking their horn, someone will be yelling, someone will be turning on the music and dancing and just making the most of it. Someone will stop and meditate. There's always something you can do, even when you're stuck. There's still some kind of movement. And if you're making movement, then you're not actually stuck. You can ask yourself where you're stuck. Maybe there's some area of your life that you're stuck in, or some thought that you're stuck in. But if you can step away from that and shift your focus a little bit where you're not stuck, or then you start creating that movement again. If you're stuck on a project or writing a book, or for example, stepping away for a minute, you know, or if you're feeling stuck in your mind, the movement can be dancing, shaking it off, or some sort of exercise, or just stepping away, going out for a walk, sighing, laughing, crying, yelling, whatever it needs to do to move that energy, to move it out, to shift your focus and just regain your composure, regain that balance, that equilibrium. For the computer, at some point, we're just going to shut it off, reset it, restart, right? We can do that for ourselves too, right? Just shut down for a minute, shut everything off, just stop, come to a halt, or stop at the stop sign, pause, and just reset before making the next move, right? So as soon as we're stuck and we make some sort of movement, then we're unstuck. We've just created a new reality. We're no longer stuck because we just moved out of that, right? Yeah.
I love that. So yeah, and a movement, period, movement, any kind of movement is moving the energy, shifting the field. So yeah, I love it. It's perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Well, we have a few more minutes left. So what I'd love to do is to give each of you a chance to talk about your work and an offer or a gift that you have, how people can connect with you, and then enter your information in the chat. So who would like to start? Who has an offer? All right, we're just going to go down the line again. Haley.
So a little bit about my work. So I'm a manifestation coach, and what I love is seeing people chase their dreams. I guess for me, I didn't want to have an ordinary life, which is why I've done so many different things. And it just lights me up when I see other people lit up, because they go, oh, wow, this is possible. Oh, I could do this, and they break away from the should. So that's what I love. That's what lights me up. I guess I have an offer. I have a free 3-day introduction to manifesting course that you can have. You can email me at hello@haleymill.com or on Instagram. That's where I do most of my stuff, because that's the platform that I like. And yeah, even if you don't connect with me, just go out and do something that you want to do. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear. And so I just freaking love it when people chase their dreams and do something that makes them happy. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like a great little course. So yeah, so all of the information from all of our experts are going to be listed below if you're watching the replay. And I'm not sure. Yeah. So go ahead and put your information in the chat then. Josette.
So I specialize in working with women, and I transform lives through self-mastery. And self-mastery is all about increasing your self-awareness so that you can discover the response system that you have, and then you're able to stop sabotaging yourself more and more. As the more that you grow, the more that you unlayer about yourself. So it's a teaching of emotional intelligence, as well as increasing that self-awareness, which is the baseline for your self-esteem and your self-confidence, your self-worth. All of that rises, which gives you, it's like teaching you to fish, right? You can feed yourself forever once you understand yourself more. And I have an offer for a masterclass that is called The Wisdom of Self-Mastery. It's the secrets to healing, embodiment, and ultimate freedom. And that runs twice a month. So there's plenty of opportunity for anyone to participate in that.
Awesome. And you want to talk about your tribe?
Yes, my tribe is called The Path to Self-Esteem. And this is a really great group. It's so exciting. We're changing some things in there, and I'm getting ready to do some teaching moments, as well as providing discussion and some laser coaching, so that the participants have a real opportunity to take what they learn, start to apply it to their life, and then come in and have some discussion around that and get coaching if they choose to. So it's a really fun tribe, and love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Josette. Jacqueline, how can people connect with you?
Sure. I am a podcaster, and the mission for my podcast is to inform, encourage, and inspire all listeners. And you can connect with me through my website, informativeconversations.com. I also have an offer. I will be teaching a class. So many people ask me, how do you start a podcast? So I'll be teaching a class, a training on how to start a podcast using your smartphone. So forget all the fear stuff, all the expensive stuff, and you already have the device, you use it every day. So it's a 7-day class, and I'll be putting the link in the chat on how to register for that class. To learn more information on Tuesday, November the 1st and Wednesday, November the 2nd, but the training begins the 15th. Also, as Lisa mentioned when we began, that I share a holistic product, and I'll be putting the websites to those in the chat also. If you need to reach me, here again, you can reach me at email iconversations.com, or you could just go to my website and you'll find all that contact information.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jacqueline. Jennifer.
Hello. Yes, I specialize in helping thought leaders and visionaries direct their life so that they can create global impact, make the impossible possible, and fulfill their life mission. So you can find out all about that at lightingthepath.ca. I also have there some free guides on soul care, because I think that's so important, and also on living with passion and purpose. And there's also an on-demand masterclass on creative transformation. So all of that to support you on your journey of awakening and stepping into embodied leadership. I also have a podcast, a couple of them, and you'll find them on my YouTube channel. So if you just Google Jennifer Regular YouTube, you'll see it all there. And there's even some interviews with folks here too that you'll notice. So you can also check that out.
Perfect. And I'll pop my information in as well. I offer a complimentary breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity on your next steps to move forward to get results in your business. And I'll put that in, or you can email me if you have questions. And you can also find me on my YouTube at crystalclearbranding.com or lisadepamphlis.com. And Sophia, let's when you're ready, but I just want to say thank you to everyone here that's been listening, and to the guest experts. Great conversation. I loved this conversation. So many good nuggets of wisdom. I know that people listening are going to get some tremendous value out of it. So thank you so much for being here.
And thank you. Seriously, Lisa, thank you. And yes, and I really want to acknowledge everyone. Thank you. It's been a wonderful conversation. I mean, I have seriously enjoyed this, and I love all your nuggets on how we can, become the creator of our own reality. Love it, stepping into it. You can feel the energy. You can literally feel the energy flowing through just by listening. So wonderful. And for everyone out there who is watching, do tune in next week. We've got some more wonderful panel discussions coming up. Next week we have empowering trauma to bring out resilience, and then be your own reason to smile, love yourself unconditionally. That's coming up next week. All those links are in the comments for our website. And why not come and join us? I mean, come and join us now. We've got a beautiful foundation members special where you can join us just for $1 Australian. Come to all our tribes. We have over 30 special interest tribes. Lisa has a tribe which we haven't mentioned, I don't think. Does Lisa want to tell us very quickly about your tribe?
Yeah, my tribe is called Rise Up, Embody Your Infinite Light. And towards the beginning of the year, we're going to be starting to do some more fun things, like more creativity. So we'll have workshops where we'll be doing some intuitive art, and that's going to be super fun. So things are changing, and join now and you can watch all of the replays. I've gone over a lot of information on reaching into the higher realms and getting assistance through the different rays of light. So lots going on.
Yeah.
And then Josette and I co-host a tribe called Finding Me, Coming Home to Your Own Divinity. And that's a great tribe. We love it. It's discussions, and they're all different. And we pull oracle cards and we talk about, the discussions are just so rich. And so come join us for that. It's once a month.
Thank you, and I thoroughly recommend both of them, including Finding Me, because it's all about finding or becoming a creator of our reality. Finding out that inner power within them. So do come and join us. Like I said, for $1, you get to try all our tribes out. We've got over 30 special interest tribes on business to personal development to all the things on metaphysical, human design, and astrology, and so much more. $1 for 3 weeks. After that, it's just 15 Australian dollars a month. So do come and join us. All the links are in the comments. So thank you, all you beautiful women. Seriously, again, I've really enjoyed it, and I know other people have. We have had people watching, we're still watching, and I really look forward to connecting to everyone again next time. Thank you.